Hello everyone and welcome to the next video for National 5 Web Design and Development during the current situation. This time we're going to move on to design for our websites. So just got starter here. Also I'd like you to send this as a comment to this Pt1 notification. Question is, what is the difference between what is coded in the head section of an HTML file and what is coded in the body section of an HTML file? Now you guys have seen plenty of websites and there's some code here in the head section and there's different code down here in the body section. And I'd like you to explain to me in a comment what the difference is. What do we put in the head section and what do we put in the body section? Remember to send that as a comment. So here again is everything that's covered in design. Now it's a great deal at National 5 and we're actually going to just look at the first couple of points here today. So website design. After you've analysed what your end users want your website to have and the functional requirements necessary to meet this, the next step is to design the website to meet those requirements. And in this section we're going to design the hierarchical website structure, that's the sitemap, design suitable user interfaces using wireframes. Both of these are today's lesson. Then we'll move on to identify appropriate links to include, navigational links, ensuring your web pages have consistency, positioning your media vertically, and then deciding on the most appropriate file formats to use for your media for audio and graphic. Website structure. Now, the design of a website should indicate the type of navigational structure that will be used. Now, it will usually be linear or hierarchical, and the design should also show the direction of each of these links. Now, this information comes from appendix number 9. I've mentioned that down at the bottom from the SQA. Linear structure, there's no detail given by the SQA, but basically it just means that in the web pages you can only go backwards and forwards. So we can go from December to January, and then from January we can either go back to December or we can move on to February. There is no way of linking from February to December without going via January, if that makes sense. Okay? The hierarchical structure is different. Here we can move up and down when we follow the paths that the arrows describe. We'll have a home page at the top, and in this case, this is the example that we had in the last, a couple of videos ago actually, about the rock band. And there's a biographies page, there's a music page, a videos page, and a concerts page. And we were also told that there were individual profiles pages that were connected from the biographies page. Okay, so we've got a page for Sting, a page for Andy Summers, and a page for Stuart Copeland. That's a hierarchical structure. So here's the example that's given in the SQA appendix number 9. A new website for Scott's water sport is being developed. The website will consist of 5 web pages. Some of the functional requirements for the web pages are as follows. The home page will provide internal hyperlinks to specialist pages about 4 different water sports: kayaking, surfing, rafting, and sailing. The home page will provide an external link to the water sports page of the Visit Scotland website, and each of the specialist sports pages will provide a hyperlink back to the home page. So let's have a look at this. The new website for Scott's water sport will have a hierarchical structure, and this diagram shows the navigational structure of it. The arrows on the diagram indicate the direction of the hyperlinks provided on each page. So from the home page you can link to the kayaking page, and it's a double-headed arrow, so that means that the kayaking page can link back to the home page. The same for the surfing page, the rafting page, and the sailing page. However, for the external hyperlink, we've got a single-headed arrow. The external link will go from the home page to the external website, Visit Scotland website, and clearly there is no link on that website that will bring us back to our own web page, our own website. Okay, so very important points. Home page is the top level, and then the subpages are underneath in a row. It's double-headed arrows. The external hyperlink, it tells you an external hyperlink. It says Visit Scotland website, and it's a single-headed arrow. That's important. These are the things you get marks for in an exam in the question paper. Your first task, therefore, is to go away and, well, whenever you want, do the National 5 design task sheet 4, all about hierarchical structures. So I'll just show you what that looks like. Find it. Okay, now what I've done here is I've given you a lot of information again. Basically, again from the same appendix, I've repeated the information there for you. It's all the information, again, about Scott's water sport website, and then it goes on to some questions for you. Now, the first question is all about the Dunfermline Dog Protection League. It's the same story that we looked at before. And what I've done for you here is I have given you the answer scheme, end user requirements and functional requirements. Now that was a task that I asked you to do, and I want you now to go back to your submission, check it, and see how you got on coming up with the end user requirements and the functional requirements. Okay, that's important. Please go back and have a look at that and see how close you came. This is your opportunity to check it and mark it yourself. The functional requirements we've come up with are the information that you're going to use to come up with a hierarchical structure for this website. Okay, so I want you to use the information here and draw for me the hierarchical structure of that website. Obviously, you can try and do it on this Word document electronically, or you can do it in a separate piece of paper, take a photograph of it, whatever you like to try and submit the information. And there are, I think, 3 more questions. So there are 3 other hierarchical structures that I want you to do in this task sheet. Okay, that's that one. Back to our PowerPoint. Okay, so moving on to wireframes. Now this is called the user interface design. And the user interface, the planning for that, we illustrate that using something called a wireframe. You did this back at the end in 3rd year. In fact, I think you did it when we got back to Woodmill. A separate wireframe is needed for each page on a website, and each wireframe indicates the intended layout of the page, and it will show the position of all the text elements on the page, any media elements, so images, audio clips, video clips, elements that allow the user to interact with the page, and the intended position and type of all hyperlinks on the page. By type, we mean internal or external. And here, we're moving on to SQA appendix number 10. Okay, so in addition, when you're designing your web pages, there are a number of things that you should take into consideration. The navigational links, you must have consistency across all of the pages on your website. You have to be aware of the relative vertical positioning of the media displayed. At National 5, you're only expected to just put things one underneath each other. Okay, you don't need to try and do any fancy layouts at all. And you need to be aware of the file formats, because you have to display that on the wireframe of the media. So which text file is it? What sort of graphic file is it? Which file format for your video, your audio? Okay, and all of that information will be reflected in your wireframe. So your wireframe is a graphical representation of what your completed web page will look like. It's your plan. It doesn't include every single piece of information that will be on your web page, but it includes a description of everything that will be on your web page. So it will include the relative positions and a brief description of all the elements to be included in the page. So if you've got a big heading, then you will draw that heading in the right position, the right alignment, and the right size. If it's a big heading, make your writing big. For the graphics, you're going to show the position and the full file name, so you need to put the file format after it. So .gif, .jpeg, .jpg, or .png. These slides come later, explanations for that. For the text areas, you need to show the position and a brief description of the contents. You do not write out all the information that will be in the text area, just say information about and whatever it is. Then you'll show where the videos are going to be, their position and their full file name. Where any audio clips would be, the position and the full file name. Now by full file name, I mean you've got to include the file format at the end of the name. You guys know about MP3 files, so if it's singing.mp3, that's what you would write out. And the navigational links, the internal one, tell me it's an internal one, that's the type, and then the page name, and that's underlined. Navigational links, if it's external, tell me it's external. and the name of the external website, and make sure that it's underlined. So here's the example from Appendix 10. A new website for Scott's water sport is being developed. Sounds familiar? The website will consist of 5 web pages, and each of these web pages will have a main heading centred at the top of the page. That's important. The home page will provide a short introduction to the range of water sports available in Scotland, internal hyperlinks to specialist pages about 4 different water sports: kayaking, surfing, rafting and sailing, 1 external link to the water sports page of the Visit Scotland website. Okay, very important information about the home page. And this is what it looks like. Simply this. There's the heading, centred and big. Intro paragraph. This is from the SQA appendix. I didn't misspell paragraph. Not my fault this time. And then internal hyperlink to kayaking page. Write all that out. Underline it. I don't expect you to have a blue pen. Underline it. Down at the bottom, we've got the external hyperlink to Visit Scotland page about water sports. Okay, that's what it'll look like. We've then got for each of the specialist sports pages, they're going to provide a paragraph of information about the sport, a photo of the sport, a bulleted list of suggested locations to try out the sport, and a hyperlink back to the home page. And funnily enough, the appendix only provides 3 of them. I don't know what's happened to the sailing page, but here we go. Kayaking page, surfing page, and rafting page. You can see how consistent they are. What I've done is I've zoomed in here on the kayaking page. Again, you don't need to put the information. Just show me where on the page it will be information about kayaking in Scotland. There's the image. It is a box, a rectangle. It will be in proportion. It will be in the shape. If it's a rectangle or it's a square, in the position where you want it to be, and it will have the full file name, kayaking.jpg. Then there's intro to list of suggestions. You show a bullet pointed list with bullet points and internal hyperlink to homepage as before. This is just here to show you that you would get additional information for your assignment. It would still show you the layout, but there's extra information because if you're having to produce the page yourself, you need to know what font and size and colour and alignment to use. If you're putting in an image, you need to know what size it is. And you've got to understand where everything appears. We've got a background colour as beige. There's a little bit of text here where we've now said that the background colour of that part is white. They would have to give you that additional information so that you can create a page, but answering a question in the question paper will be in the previous examples. So your second task is to do task sheet 5, which is some wireframes for you to do. So let's go and have a look at those. What I've done, I've given you loads and loads of detail at the beginning of this task sheet. So there's lots and lots and lots of theory, lots of extra information here. Please pay attention to this additional theory. It comes from the SQ Appendix 10, but lots of additional information from us. And then we move on to the examples. Now, I think there's 3 examples in this particular task sheet. The first one here, it says, I just want to help you a little bit here, to meet the requirements for the volunteering section of their Silver Duke of Edinburgh Award, 2 computing science pupils have volunteered to create a web page about the school's silver section of the D.A.V. Award. Now, he says he wants 4 separate short paragraphs explaining about each of the 4 sections of the awards: volunteering, physical skills and expedition, and include a picture for each section. I'll tell you now, the crafts.gif, that is the skills section. The Dunfermline Dog Protection League, that's where they've done their volunteering. The mountains.jpg, that is where they've gone to for their expedition. And sports.jpg is for their physical section. Okay, that's going to help you. That's important information. And there are a couple more, I think, on this document. So that's that one. The other things that I've mentioned on the earlier in the PowerPoint are the appendices. So I'm attaching appendix number 9, which you'll see is basically included in the video, and also appendix number 10. And here we go. There's my seat proof paragraph, wasn't me. Kayaking, surfing, rafting, and for some reason sailing isn't there. Never mind. Okay. So finally, your submissions. So send your answer to the starter. Remember the starter? Send me that as a comment. Please not a PDF. Send it as its own comment. And then task sheet number 4, which is the overall website structures, what we used to call a sitemap. And task sheet number 5, the wireframes. Okay guys, now please send any comments if you need any help. I will post when the next tutorial is in the notification. Good luck, guys, and see you soon.